Good afternoon, everybody. It's another Saturday show. It's another episode of the Weekly Steelchair, brought to you by the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. Do appreciate if you can hit that subscribe button, like the show, and get involved in our comments today, as we've got a big show for you. Joined, of course, is my co-host Eilidh. I'll be coming to you in just a second, but just for our viewers at home, my opinion, of course, that the greatest tag team all time is the Hart Foundation. But all I can say is even the greatest so-called teams lose now and again, apparently, because we've all seen that stupid scoreline today, that apparently the greatest football team of all time also lost to the most bottom team in the Premier League. And straight in, Abul, the captain of the Ripcord. Good choice. And Brush was in here earlier on with a nice popcorn comment, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Eilidh, how are you?
Yeah, doing well. I mean, the regular listeners know, not a Liverpool fan. Very much enjoyed Nottingham Forest getting their surprise result at home at the City Ground. But more importantly, I'm excited to get into what has been a week of wrestling, a week of a lot of things going on across the board. And hopefully in the next hour and a half, because the everyman, one of the engines of this amazing channel here, Reece, you've got to bounce off of your weekly steel chair and get back into your armchair because you are on the watch along tonight. Is that correct?
I certainly do. I've got a lot on today, which is crazy. But I'm not just doing shows. I'm also doing housework. So what can I say? Carnage. Liam, good evening, my man. Hope you're doing really well. It's good to see you. It's good to get a few folk I know from social media. I've actually tried to get a few folk I know that like wrestling to come watch our podcast, get a little more of more viewers going, get more of the content going out there, because one thing we do like is we do like our audience and we do like the involvement that we have. We always have good interactions with our live chat, so it's more than better. And if you haven't noticed as well, for anyone with a keen eye, I've actually included the new Weekly Steelchair logo on the top right-hand corner, which I have actually decided to do today, and I've actually designed it. So I'm actually going to add it just now as a little overlay, just so everyone can see it up close, so you can see exactly how the new Steelchair logo is. And I want everybody to give me your opinions on it. I've already shown Eilidh. She absolutely loves it. Keen loves it as well. I've sent it to Keen. Mark loves it a lot. But here it is, live on screen now.
And I'm just going to remove the... We've got something behind. Not just two people on a podcast. We have an image. We have something to stand for, even though it's a chair, and we should probably sit for it instead. But we stand proudly behind the Weekly Steel Chair. And we're getting pretty consistent at these shows, Reece. You know, like
we are.
You know, people are going to have to check the calendars, check the clocks, check the watches, because we seem to be turning up every weekend like clockwork to deliver more amazing, hopefully, wrestling content. So other than busy, how are you doing today before we crack into things?
I'm honestly really good, thank you. I've had a brilliant week. I'm nice and fresh. Work's not been hectic at all. I feel relaxed. I'm generally in a really good mood. I'm generally really good, and I'm hoping you're feeling better as well. I hope you're good and staying safe yourself.
That pivotal appointment date. People know, regular listeners, my health's been up and down, fiddler's elbow style, or people's elbow style, if you prefer. But we're getting closer and closer to that appointment date, so hopefully we can find out what's going on there. We're back in France, wherever this is. Ignore, that wall there, which seems to not be part of France and seems to just be a white wall. All an illusion, all a white rabbit, you could say. But we're not starting there. We're starting on AEW. So I know it's not proper wrestling to a lot of people, but a lot has gone on this week. The very first thing I actually want to touch upon is
yes.
Personally, I'll always back FTR / Revival.
Oh, they're the best. They're the best modern tag team. I'll say that. Like, I've always said in this show that the best modern tag team is FTR.
Reece. Like I only if they weren't around 10 years ago, chances are outside of like Rey Mysterio, who's just timeless. The rest of the stuff that I like is very much recent of the moment. And speaking of the moment, Tony Khan was interviewed by Mr. Ariel Helwani. This was an interview that obviously Ariel Helwani, very well known host of sort of podcasts, but really more interviews. It was really quite interesting, this. So he's had Triple H on the show before. If you missed it, it's an absolutely fascinating interview that was done right
Paul Heyman
before
as well.
Clash at the Castle. And there's another great one with Paul Heyman. And to be fair, Ariel Helwani's had 2 great interviews with MJF, a man who we'll talk about in a bit. A not so great interview, however, from Ariel's own lips was the interview that he had with Tony Khan. And I urge you all in the audience, not right now, because we are the main event of your Saturday, I hope.
But please give it a listen.
There's a 5-minute
I do recommend giving it a
rant
listen.
Ariel Helwani put up. So I don't actually recommend you go and listen to the whole Tony Khan interview, because you'll get fed up of saying, I'm not going to go into it. You know, you'll get fed up of hearing that line just from Tony Khan. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to talk about that. And that's really what he did. But Ariel put a 5-minute rant up that you can find on YouTube. It's just a black screen, but he rants about it, where he's just like, Tony Khan didn't give him anything to build on. And it was after watching that I went back and rewatched the Ariel Helwani with Triple H interview. And it is night and day. It is completely night and day. Triple H can't expose everything about the business, but Triple H leaves no stone unturned with his answers. He at least gives Ariel something. They bounce off each other brilliantly. It shows that Ariel genuinely has that passion. So anyone that's been accusing the host of the show of not having the passion or not understanding wrestling, all you have to do is watch the one with Triple H, and that all gets blown out the water. What did you think out of this? That obviously more people have sort of seen Tony Khan now under a magnifying glass and in the spotlight. What do you think it said about Tony Khan compared to sort of what we'd already said?
I think, considering how we've critiqued his character over the past few months, we've critiqued him as an owner, we've critiqued him as a booker, we've critiqued him as a caring individual. This interview has completely reaffirmed exactly what we've been saying. He wants to be so involved in the wrestling business. He wants to be so involved where he can make a product that is a genuine challenge to the big one. But what he's actually doing is making himself, he's making himself look like a clown. Normally I would say something more stronger, but we're not going to have any bad language on this show anymore.
Well, he's making himself. I'll hold that promise up. We know that last week you had the Freudian slip that you did, but
that was a good one, though. That was a good one. You can't deny it. That was good. But in all, like, he has proven he is a clown. He's proven that he doesn't fully understand what it is he's talking about. And thirdly, he has genuinely no care. He has no care for anyone that's working beside him except who's making him the money, whilst putting people at risk. When you watch the Triple H or the Paul Heyman interviews, I've watched both and I thought both were amazing. The Paul Heyman one, especially when he asked him specific questions regarding his time as a booker and how what lessons he learned. Paul Heyman could sit and talk for hours, but obviously it was only an hour interview, so he couldn't really do any further than that. But like Triple H I agree, he's not exposing the business, but he's exposing issues that have come from the business and how you've got to work and operate smarter. Tony Khan is doing everything purely for ratings, understand that, but he is doing it so much that he is willing to go to the extreme level where people are getting seriously hurt. And one example, of course, wasn't his fault. Like, it's not really his fault, really, but it's significance of how things are being done right now, where people are being overbooked, overworked, and there's not enough rest in between. We'll be coming on to it very shortly, is the Hangman Page concussion. This could have been managed so much better. I mean, it's unfortunately it's the way he's landed from the lariat, but it's clear and obvious that Jon Moxley should not be attempting this stupid lariat when the guy blades every single flaming match. It's becoming seriously worrying.
Yeah, I understand that, and I think we can talk about the freak incident, and we definitely will. But so Tony Khan leads us. He was asked a lot about And I will there saying pray for Hangman Page. Absolutely. I mean, we hope that no actual harm has come to the guy, and we hope that he's all right. We will
I will
come on.
answer this shortly, my friend.
Yeah, we will come on to SmackDown. SmackDown's sort of our main event of this show, as we just sort of cover. So we'll go AEW, then we'll go to Raw, and then we'll go to SmackDown, and we'll just sort of cover where the main story points are. But we felt we really
Yes,
have
we
to
will.
address AEW this week, not only for the Tony Khan thing, but obviously MJF and of course Hangman, who we do send our best wishes to. Haven't always agreed with his conduct, but there's a lot of people
Oh,
in the
and a
wrestling business like
special.
that.
May I also say as well, a special. I know he doesn't. I know he won't watch this show, but I hope this does get clipped, and I hope this does get sent to him. So anyone in the live chat, I really want you to clip what I'm about to say. To Kevin Nash and your family, I am sending my utmost condolences and regards as you lost your son. May he rest in peace. I'm so very sorry for your loss, and I sincerely hope that you are all right, and I hope that your son's at peace because it's horrible. So very sorry.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, just horrible things befalling many people at the moment. So, of course, best wishes to Kevin Nash, the family, and the friends as well.
And on
Best
the
wishes.
day of Scott Hall's birthday as well.
Yeah,
Double the pain.
just really rough time for Kevin Nash at the moment, and it's also a rough time, as we say, for AEW in general. Different kind of roughness, different sort of friction backstage.
Mhm.
I mean, even, Hawani touches on it in that rant that I've already signposted to, but
He has.
MJF is probably the main thing to touch upon from this week, other than the concussion, in terms of what was planned to happen. Because MJF's turned face. Or has he?
Yeah. I think he's I think he's the Finn Balor of AEW. I think he's a tweener. Like when he was in NXT, like that second run, I think he's been a bit of a tweener,
Right.
mix of babyface and heel. But we already know, and he's going to hate being this, but he's going to hate being a babyface. But Chris Jericho told him, and he's already said it in press conferences. Chris Jericho told him whether he likes it or not, he's going to be a babyface because he's so over with the fans. He's so over. Like there's nothing this guy could do wrong. Like this guy could probably kill someone, and he would still get cheered massively by the fans. Like that is how over he is now. He is in that flat now.
Yeah.
He's in that
When you look at
parallel
the
where he's stuck.
breadcrumb trail, though, was it wise to have MJF turn face? Because I think we know when MJF's face turn started, and it started before Forbidden Door, and it started with the pipe bomb. Now, the reason MJF turned face off the back of the pipe bomb is because it wasn't an attack on somebody. You know, it wasn't like MJF's pipe bomb was against Jon Moxley, so the fans would naturally boo. It wasn't like the pipe bomb was against Hangman Page or the Elite or CM Punk. The pipe bomb was against Tony Khan, and fans have become increasingly disgruntled and just sort of unhappy with the way AEW's been run. And the way that the way that it's been run, the way that things seem to be happening, both shoot and work, it all comes back to Tony Khan because he doesn't really delegate. We've spoken about that before. That's where MJF started to turn face, but it was already the point of no return. Funnily enough, when he did return, his heel persona may have booed when the Devil won the chip, the casino chip, because that's what they fight for in AEW. It's all to do with gambling. Almost apt for Tony Khan's attitude to running a wrestling promotion. But, you know.
Wise analogy, my friend.
As soon as the Devil revealed himself as MJF and had the scarf in that little vignette, to be fair, even before that, when the voicemail played, when Tony Khan's voicemail played over that, we knew MJF was going to be face. But there's absolutely no point in doing it. You've got so few people that can get genuine heat across the wrestling business, even more so in AEW. Because now, Christian is probably the only guy who's really got genuine heat. Like, not, we're booing because we need to boo and we'll play along. People genuinely dislike Christian.
Absolutely.
So I don't get. I mean, do you think a lot comes out of MJF being face? Am I just being a Debbie Downer here?
I don't know. And the reason I don't know is because this guy's never worked babyface in his life. And he is a natural heel. He's naturally so good at it. But who knows? He might end up pulling off the. I mean, technically, he was babyface before, but he wasn't like with Cody Rhodes before he turned on him. But he was never really the babyface to get behind. So he was working babyface, but he wasn't a babyface you could believe in. You believed in him as a heel because he was genuine, especially when he turned on like the Inner Circle and all that. When he done all that, that was genuine. You could feel it.
Yeah, I mean,
Now
the way
you've
that
got
he turned on
now you've got
Jericho
feel it.
was pretty stupid when he just randomly had another tag team already set up, and that was really sort of stagey. But the
Yeah,
actual
could have been
turn,
better.
MJF's a prick, let's boo him. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we want. So the fact that MJF's now a face, and that is what most fans want, I just look at it like, what a waste. What a waste.
Agreed.
Because it's the same way as how I said, before on the show we spoke about when Miz won the title, when he won the WWE Championship, and people were booing that. I was like, this is great. The only thing that would have been better than Miz doing that to Drew McIntyre then would be if Edge won at WrestleMania and then Miz cashed in. Because heels are meant to be hated and they're meant to do things that you don't like. And I hate all this sort of. And to be fair, Bullet Club was really not the genesis, but the continuation of it. This cool heel. This heel that's like, oh, I'm so badass and you hate me because you want to be me. And it's never just a boo. Like,
It
and I feel,
stems purely from the NWO, and you
yeah,
can't get rid
but
of
I
it.
feel like MJF could have been that genuine. No, you hate me. I'm like the Miz over here, and I know the comparison's already been made. He's a lot better than the Miz in terms of the matches that I've seen from MJF, but in terms of character, yeah, just be the heel, just be the guy that everyone hates.
Yeah,
If someone hates how two
absolutely.
completely different companies are run, then you're most likely the problem.
It's a very good point, Yeti boy. It's a very strong point. And that's a good reflection. Abel, how kind of you to ask. We're very well, thank you. I hope you're good.
Yeah, we're doing
Hope you're
well. Hope you all are as well, wherever you're watching from.
I would like the idea of this, but it's sadly not going to happen. Christian's doing some really good work right now with Luchasaurus. I actually really like the work he's doing. But we are going to move across, obviously, because we are going to come to Hangman Page in the next 5 minutes, but we are going to discuss that promo beforehand, because that was brilliant work, and the follow up as well after
William
the
Regal MJF exchange.
absolutely.
I mean, I imagine the story is real. If it's not, they didn't leave any sort of hole in it where you'd go, "Oh, definitely fake."
Yeah.
Again, I'm not sure it's wise to keep comparing. They're walking a fine line with the MJF story of like, is he going to go to WWE? So they kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The only way this really backfires is if MJF then goes to WWE. Because that makes
Exactly.
AEW not only look very small time, but like they knew it all along. And they were just MJF for the decision he would eventually make. But I thought the actual promo was excellent. MJF, puts the ring in his pocket, said, I'm not here to fight, I'm here to talk. So Regal puts the knucks away. And MJF recounts an amazing story, really, be it work or shoot, of how he went along for a tryout. He was going to become a superstar. Real, again, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, look at the camera, sort of, we're talking about WWE here. And I
Because
think
it's always got to
everyone
be
knew
about
that.
WWE.
Yeah. But everyone knew that. And everyone knew with William Regal that would be how you tied him to MJF, would be either fabricate or recall a time where these two have met before.
Yeah.
And Regal, retorts it and says, well, I mean, you've had it easy. With a good point there. I think the only reason they're doing this is because they want people to boo him. So I understand that, but it really isn't working. Because I think a lot of that audience are now seeing, oh, he could genuinely go. And they're sort of walking the fine line of like, we'll boo him, but we want him to stay. So we can't boo him. Because if we boo him, Tony Khan might interpret that as stop booking him.
Yeah, the opportunity
And
is past.
yeah, it's Tony Khan's really bad at sort of just getting the moment right. You know, look at Wardlow, look at FTR, look at Hangman. I know he kind of self-inflicted that before. But there were several moments where he just sat on something for too long. But he hasn't sat for long on this, and I think it's because William Regal's sort of taken the reins in terms of, no, I'll handle this, creative Tony. I know what I'm talking about. William Regal retorts this NJF story by saying, well, you had it easy because I was 16 wrestling in the carnival, you know, getting hurt for real to try and make it in this industry. Just make it anywhere, you know. And the whole point is Regal had it a lot harder than MJF, but Regal has always seen the talent in MJF and wants him to prove it. So, I mean, it was fantastic. He's entering the first time, doing it every week gets boring quickly. If he was going, then they shouldn't put him in the main. But yeah, but they don't know if he's going.
Spot on.
Yeah, it's absolutely
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
But they don't know if he's going. I genuinely believe this isn't a work. The bidding war of 2024. I don't think he's signed anything. All we know is he signed a contract with no extension. So he's getting paid.
Exactly.
He's fleeced Tony Khan. Like, give me more money and I'm not staying any longer. So,
yeah,
I don't know where that goes, but I know this promo was great. What do you think, Reece?
I thought the promo was outstanding. I thought it was great work. It was two people like that know how to work the crowd really well, that know the circumstances behind the scenes, who can get the most out of reaction and still elevate each other in the right way. William Regal's been elevated as the managerial opposition of obviously Blackpool Combat Club. He's been elevated to that level much more than you would expect, because now he is the centre of attention for MJF and what could potentially happen with MJF, because William Regal's still a link to WWE. He's still a big link. Whereas MJF is not in that situation yet, but he's still the main guy behind after Moxley. He's still got that parallel of you cannot now, one, either not put the world title on him, or two, you can keep him in the main event, but he cannot or he can win the world title, but he can't hold it for long because you just cannot trust his loyalty anymore. Purely for the sense that you just don't know, is he going to go, is he not? If he isn't going to go to WWE, then he should make it clear. Realistically, he should make it clear. He should put that extension on. If he is going to go to WWE, he should make it clear and say, well, once my contract's out, I'm gone. Like, plain and simple, I'm gone. Because it gives AEW proper time to prepare as well. Because this is going to hurt them big time. It's going to hurt them financially in the revenue stage, because MJF is such a big draw after Moxley. With Moxley,
Yeah.
Jericho, and him,
Yeah.
he's probably they're probably the big three draws they've got.
Yeah, and it doesn't help as well.
Go without it.
They had 4 names to build up, remember? They had 4 pillars. And
him, Darby Allin,
only
two of
one
the big
of
key
them
ones.
is proven to be main event megastar territory. I still think you could get Darby Allin there, but I think he needs a lot of work now. I think they need to recover.
He needs to get.
I
think they also need to do one thing.
Exactly where he's going to. I don't see it spiking beyond this, because this is the most personal issue you can do with Jungle Boy, and the fans just don't seem to care. You know, we saw it like they kind of did, but it wasn't. It didn't
I think
get the
they're done with him.
reaction you would expect that sympathetic babyface to get. And then, of course, you've got Sam Guevara, who we can only hope Bryan Danielson knocks a few teeth out of him next week for everything that he's caused. But before we leave, we'll talk about someone who may not have had his teeth knocked out, but certainly was knocked goofy. We've mentioned it before. So Hangman Page, they're having this war of a world title fight. Obviously, Hangman won the Golden Ticket Battle Royal. I think only like 3 weeks ago. Don't know why there was a golden ticket battle royal, but there you go. Anyway, this is the match that we're getting. We're in Cincinnati, so it's already quite, partisan, I
It's already
suppose,
wild
because
because
your
it's
Hangman fans were
always
Hangman
wild.
fans. So you already had
And it's
this
Moxley's
classic
hometown.
thing. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. You already had this classic sort of the hometown guy, but Adam Page's fans are there as well. So you did have sort of the dueling chants. Maybe there were some people that were chanting both parts of it, but still. So they're having this match, and basically they trade clotheslines. So Hangman hits a clothesline. Moxley's obviously bleeding because he has to, because I think it's in his contract. 90% of the matches you have this year, you need to bleed. Hope Hangman Page is fine. It's not as bad as the Adam Cole concussion. Yeah, I mean, Adam Cole, I don't know what that is, but the last word I heard him say on his injury was that it's really bad. So
he hasn't been seen as well since the summer as well. Like it's nearly
yeah,
4
no
months
idea
as well.
what's going on there.
And
Darby Allin,
Bill, you're
huge
right.
momentum. Taz's son
I'm going to say this
overrated.
now.
He's green. He's green. I don't think you can say overrated yet. He's literally like a brand new face. I think they've
I think Sammy
overpushed him.
Guevara's terrible.
Yeah. Sammy Guevara
I think Sammy Guevara's
is
an absolute. I think he's a clown.
a guy with that ability you want on the roster, but when you put that ability against his attitude, you get rid. You get rid. If he didn't have the attitude problems, you'd absolutely keep him. See what you can do. I'd give him the panda head back if you're going to keep him. So okay, put that on and shut up. That would be another way to get around it. But yeah, so after Hangman hits this clothesline to Moxley, nice and safe, cross the shoulder, he's peasy. Moxley just goes down. And then I struggled. I watched this a few times. Then Moxley replies with his own lariat. Does Hangman get knocked out from the blow to the head or from how he lands?
How he lands, I think. The way he lands, definitely. He doesn't move like after that.
Because I don't get how you can flip while unconscious. Maybe you do. Maybe he'd already... I don't know. I can't even flip when I'm conscious. So I don't know. But the way that he landed, it looked to me like he'd hit his head flipping out the clothesline. And either way, it's awful. Either way, we don't want it to happen. If the shot hits him in the head and he goes down, because obviously if you watch it, it does connect like really high. Like the clothesline doesn't connect there. Like Hangman's clothesline to Moxley was like across the shoulder, maybe a little high. Moxley's connects with him like there. I don't know if the clothesline knocked him out or if it was a subsequent landing or a mix of the two. But Hangman's out and he's concussed and it's clear. And, Dr. Samson gets a lot of stick, but he was quick on this one.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can get, if it's actually, I want to try and get it on screen. There it is. I'm just going to zoom in as well on the position here. Come on, you stupid bloody thing.
We're finding new things to do every week, and of course, credit to 411 Mania for providing this quick little aside.
I'm just going to zoom in a little bit further. There you go. So for everyone that can see that is like, first of all, the positioning is awful. Like the position there is awful for him. Like he is flat. Like at least he's flat down. He's not like in an awkward position. At least he's flat. But it's horrible that his head's leaning down.
Yeah.
So his head's leaning down as well. It's not in a safer angle for him.
Yeah, when you see how he lands the flip as well, he doesn't land it flat. He doesn't land it flat. He takes it a mix of his shoulder and his head. And again, that's kind of where I'm like, okay. I mean, Nabul's there saying, I think it was the mix of the two. I think so. I think because, you're hitting the head like that, okay, you're not dizzy, then maybe you don't quite nail the flip. It's awful anyway, and we're not blaming anyone here. What I will say is, Moxley took the clothesline by falling down. even if
He
Hangman
did.
has taken that shot to the head, safer option is just to fall back. Are we looking forward to Crown Jewel? I would say
I
so.
am now.
I mean, there's some good stuff on there. Maybe not everything's completely built, but what was so far the 3 or 4 matches that
We'll be
we
previewing
know,
it next week. We'll be
yeah,
previewing it next
absolutely.
week.
The 3 or 4 matches that stand out that we know, really good stuff, and we will get on to WWE. Just a final word though on the AEW thing. Obviously, best to Hangman. It's a shame that the main event sort of ended like this. They did well to have NJF come out. If that wasn't
Yeah.
planned, it was a really good ad lib, and whoever came up with that, pat on the back.
Yeah.
Moxley's promo was full of swearing, which I don't know how the TV network felt after they've asked AEW to tone down the swearing, please. But maybe they make the exception for John Moxley the same way that Stone Cold Steve Austin was always allowed to flip the bird. Maybe that's the level Moxley's
Possible.
on that network. But yeah, overall for AEW, a frustrating time. And now it's been made worse because one of their big stars could be out for a bit. It'll at very least be 2-3 weeks, of course, standard protocol. And then we look at further damage and things. So we just hope Hangman's all right. And yeah, AEW finishes like that. They don't go out with a bang, but a rather unfortunate botch. Because it is a botch, regardless of injury. But moving on, and for many of our audience, we'll be moving on to actual wrestling now. So we understand, of course, from past quizzes, people are like, well, AEW like barely counts. And I understand that. I've actually just went and cancelled my my AEW Plus subscription because with Liz Truss's brilliant economics, it's gone up to £6.50 a month, and we're just not playing that game. I'd rather watch it on ITV just a little later for free. But we're going on instead to Raw. And Reece, I want you to kick us off here. What stood out for you on Raw this week?
Well, a lot actually. So before I'm going to do that, I'm actually just going to bring this comment up because I think this is spot on. I completely agree with this. I completely agree, Yeti Boy. I completely agree.
Oh yeah, the All Out, possibly
That's
pandemic.
Right. Yeah, pandemic, and he gets the concussion. Stupidly unfortunate, but stupid that they continued. Yep, I completely agree. Raw stood out a lot for me this week, particularly the fact that I like that there was, just like on SmackDown, there was no intros. That's something I like. The fact that they went straight into the first segment. They chose not to go over the intro. I think that's really good. You don't always have to have the intro on every single week, but you can do it without if you've got a good show to start with. And the first segment was brilliant. Lashley starting with Brock Lesnar. This is getting seriously good for Crown Jewel. Lashley calling him out after losing the title in controversial fashion last week. Obviously, we were kind of happy about that because we wanted Seth Rollins to get rewarded. We'll be coming on to him very soon. But this entire segment has done two things. One, it's made Brock Lesnar look slightly vulnerable. So we'll see how he responds. But two, it makes Lashley finally look like a genuinely credible man to take on Lesnar. He's already beaten him before, but when he beat him before, he had involvement from Roman Reigns. It was not really credible. Now you've got the sense of belief that actually maybe Lashley could beat Lesnar one-on-one in Riyadh. And I'm not sure if he will, but if you're to think of it in a logical sense, I think Lashley might actually go over in Riyadh. But this is certainly getting really good stuff. It was a good shoot. I like the work of Lesnar as well in this. Lesnar chose to go for the jugular early on. They got completely blindsided, and they fell into what Lashley's strengths at: spear through the barricade and physical dominance through the announce table. I was really happy with that opening segment. I was really impressed.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly a lot to like. I mean, I will say Lashley versus Brock, this got my Crown Jewels excited. I think this is a match we've been waiting to see, despite the fact we've already seen it. Because, of course, as you touched upon, Lashley and Brock, Roman helped Lashley last time. So what's it like when these two genuinely go at it? It's been one of those matches that's been sat there for so long. And the fact that we've only barely explored it. Two MMA titans here. In the WWE now, they don't need to do much outside of their usual stuff, and this match is going to be pretty good. You know, we're not asking Brock to go back to hitting the shooting star press. We're not asking for Bobby Lashley to become some sort of technical wrestling machine, sort of do a 60-minute Broadway with Brock Lesnar here.
Agreed.
We just want to have a match where they each do their thing, and hopefully it'll create some kind of gel. It's the third time I can remember Raw opening this year with a brawl as like a cold open. I remember Miz and Logan Paul, and I remember Riddle and Seth doing it.
That's right.
And it's one of those things that just kind of always works, you know. 2 or 3 times already this year that I can recall just like that, but they've all been exciting in different ways. They've all sort of furthered feuds and things. So I thought it really brought across the hate these two have for each other, but also that sort of rivalry, the desire to get the one up on the other here. And I think Lashley as this sort of American hero's really worked. And his run with the US title has really sort of cemented him as a crowd favourite. People want to see Lashley win this match.
Absolutely.
Because Brock very quickly established himself as a heel by not only attacking Lashley, but allowing Seth Rollins to win a title.
Exactly. And that really has set the tone going forward. That has definitely set the tone. And that is where this feud's going to get more interesting. We'll see if the stipulation at Crown Jewel changes. We could end up seeing this becoming no holds barred, which wouldn't be a bad thing as well between these two. But we'll certainly find out. As for the rest of the show, it was strongly booked. The Judgment Day again continued. They're on a roll. The OC involvement. The only thing that was a little bit weak, though, was maybe Dominic's performance on Raw. But it was still a decent match. It was just that he was carried by Styles. But
yeah,
I like the involvement.
He has to be. He has to be. And I like the fact that you sort of looked at the match and went, okay, Dominic isn't going to win that. And he did. And I'm like, again, just factors in. Judgment Day, boo them. Boo Judgment Day. You're not meant to like Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And the fact that they've got Dominic Mysterio to be one of the most hated people in wrestling right now is fantastic. Like, huge props. Rey Mysterio's sort of just plain old wanting to be like his dad kid turns in Cardiff and has been absolutely hated since. Even more so when he got physical with his dad at Extreme Rules, and obviously we have Michael Cole. That's your father again. So sort of the repeat of the Clash at the Castle commentary, but even more so with another attack from Dominic. Because the first one at Clash was almost framed as like Dominic frustration and not quite knowing. And then he was genuinely at Extreme Rules asking, and sort of the Raw after was just asking Rey Mysterio. It's like, we're going to have this match then. You know, Dominic Mysterio's laying the gauntlet down for his dad. But yeah, I like that Dominic Mysterio's genuinely booed. AJ Styles needs to be back in main event. Not fair on him. Oh, I take it you mean in the main event, not on main event. But yeah, in the main event, I don't know.
He's got a point. He can work anywhere in the card.
There is no obvious spot for him at the moment. And AJ Styles is much like Shinsuke Nakamura in the fact that he's being well paid, he's being well respected, and he's on the show. Obviously, Nakamura's coming back, and we saw him on NXT.
A few more appearances to come on NXT for Nakamura.
I think your Nakamura, your Randy Orton, your AJ Styles, these people that we've been like, they need to get back into the main event, they're all over 40. You know, they're all fairly happy to just be on the show, do their bit, and they don't need the spotlight that much anymore. So while I absolutely agree, AJ Styles is timeless, and AJ Styles is such a great worker, and I'd love to see him in main events again.
Same.
I don't see AJ Styles as being the sort of guy that's going to get offended by that. I don't think AJ Styles looks at his career and goes, it's going nowhere. You know, because
Yeah,
he's
like
able to have matches with people like Tommaso Ciampa and put them over, Dominic Mysterio and put the point over. He's able to give Logan Paul some credibility. So that's where I think AJ is.
he could end up doing the same as what Seth Rollins has done all year. Just have a really good year, even if he doesn't win every pay-per-view. But he can elevate stars and he gets rewarded in the right way. I could honestly see Styles and the OC moving to SmackDown at some point and Styles wins the IC title.
Or
Like I
Styles
wouldn't,
could win the US title, just right
or
where he
that
is.
as well. Or
If
that as
they
well, yeah.
keep them apart for long enough, that could be a really good WrestleMania match.
Yeah,
Depending, of
Rollins
course, on
versus
what they want to
Styles.
do with a certain Cody Rhodes and where he's going to go. They've kept
And
quiet on
Fury.
him for a bit, have they not? I mean, they throw the little video up every now and again of like, oh, it's a complete pectoral tear, and he's going to be out for, it says minimum 8 months or whatever. And obviously that coupled with the vague tweets from Cody, sort of either tweeting the date of the Royal Rumble or how many days away we are from it, seems like they're building to somehow Cody returning at the Rumble, which would be an absolutely freakish, like John Cena regeneration. But I like that there's so much going on in WWE that not everything has to be shouted about all the time. And that's what I liked about NXT Black and Gold. An issue would happen, and then 3 weeks later it'll go, oh, he's back and he's attacking this guy. You'd be like, oh yeah, because that happened 3 weeks ago. Rewarding the viewer for watching rather than going and forget about that. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Oh, here we are, Ravi in the chat. Yo, big up. How you doing today, Ravi? Hope you're well. Hope everyone's well.
He won't be happy. He won't be happy. Trust me.
Oh, is he a red?
He is a Liverpool fan. Yep.
Well, other than that, Ravi, I hope you're well, and I hope you've made it out of the woods or the forest. In other words, so yeah. So what else happened on Raw? Well, I've obviously touched upon Rey Mysterio. There had to be someone that came over to replace him, and it's television Teflon Baron Corbin.
It's exactly who we said would be as well. Corbin with JBL.
Yeah, the JBL thing was kind of fun. I mean, he's always going to get a reaction. JBL, again, one of the dying breed of heels that's just like, oh, we're just going to boo you. Because, I mean, boo. Like, look at you. Just boo. We just don't like you.
I only have one issue with this relationship, though, between Corbin and JBL, is JBL does all the pre-shows. Like, Corbin's clearly going to be on the main card when he gets back to premium live event, even though it's disgusting to call it that. But does that mean like JBL's going to have to do double duty, or is he just going to be back on the show? Because if anything, when you look at it, Corbin doesn't really need a mouthpiece. He doesn't need JBL, but what it is doing though is it's giving a really good. This is a really good duo though. Like JBL is a brilliant man to manage Corbin to a different level. Like JBL could end up rescuing Baron Corbin's career as a legitimate title challenger, which he hasn't been in a long time. Corbin hasn't held a title in, I'm gonna say, since the Intercontinental title when he lost to Dean Ambrose, because I can't remember the last time he held something. It must have been Lone Wolf Baron Corbin, because he never held the US title. He never held the title when he was the enforcer as well. So last time he held something, because he lost the Intercontinental title before he won Money in the Bank.
Yeah, and then of course that cash in was
because he opened his mouth.
Yeah, as a punishment. So Baron Corbin's now. I think in terms of your JBL thing, you've always got one of the wild cards over on Raw. Yeah, I mean Jurgen Klopp's men sort of stuttering at the moment after a great result last week to go back. And to be fair, a lot of things are like that. It's much like how in wrestling you can get a good episode of something and then next week not so good. This week a not so good episode for Liverpool. But yes, where we were. So of course Corbin, I think the wild card and the thing that stops JBL from having to do pre-shows and manage Corbin is one very key return to WWE, and that is Kathy Kelly.
Yes, absolutely.
I think you can now put Kathy Kelly on the pre-show panel. I don't know who necessarily plays the heel, but at least you have another person. It's not like people watch the pre-show panels. It's not like they go, "Oh, we really want to see this pre-show panel." You got to do it's the thing you got to do. Kathy Kelly's one of the most talented sort of presenters they have.
Absolutely.
And she's so into like the characters and things. It's so great to see her back. So I think, yeah, just put her on the pre-shows, and then if you want JBL to manage Corbin, just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just having a look now.
I think Ravi just asking what's Kathy Kelly add. Kathy Kelly adds that sort of. So for me, she's a familiar face. When I saw she was coming back, I genuinely popped. But she also adds that same sort of thing Kevin Patrick adds, and the same sort of thing Pat McAfee adds. Not someone there just claiming a paycheck and doing a job. Kathy Kelly comes across as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you want, because you want someone who will sort of get involved and have these back and forths. You know, Renee Paquette was such a big loss for WWE, not on commentary, but in interviews. Would get involved in those storylines, not so much as I'm going to turn around and punch you in the face, but in the sort of, I disagree with what you're doing. I like the person you attacked, and I'm not happy with it. I think Kathy Kelly, all you have to do is look at her exchanges with, the likes of Finn Balor, and just people like that, sort of the people that she genuinely.
Raw emotion.
Of course, there may have been more to the Kathy Kelly and Finn Balor stuff, but we don't want to go into that. Of course, Finn is now happily married to someone who is not Kathy Kelly, so we will not go into that. But yeah, just in terms of general backstage reaction, I think Kathy Kelly is a lot better than just sort of a nothing face backstage, and that's why I like Kevin Patrick as well. On commentary, it comes across as a fan. Pat McAfee came across as a fan, so that's what I think Kathy Kelly adds.
Absolutely, Abel, thanks for correcting me, dude. Yeah, US title. Thanks for correcting me. I was actually looking at something as well. Baron Corbin's career highlights as well. He was actually voted in 2018 and 2019 by the Wrestling Observer the most overrated pro wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And he was ranked number 39 on the top 500 in 2019, the same year he was voted most hated wrestler of the year. Most hated wrestler was top 39.
Most hated, it depends how you look at it.
It was someone like Corbin, he was hated.
Someone like Roman Reigns getting most hated in 2015, which I imagine he did. I don't even have that in front of me. I'm just saying it happened. So Roman Reigns being most hated in 2015 is a bad thing because he was a babyface. Yeah, Ravi, that's kind of what I was getting at. 100%.
Absolutely.
I mean, of course, we remember the tweet as well about old Patrick Clark, but we'll leave that name there, and we won't give the character name either. Yeah,
we're gonna
title. I don't even remember that.
I thought it was IC champion, but I forgot he failed to win every time from Ziggler and Ambrose. But yeah, US champion when he was on Raw, but he didn't last long.
Yeah. So two more quick storylines on Raw to bounce into, and hopefully not another 5-minute Kathy Kelly tirade. Here we go.
And speaking of storylines, we thought that one was going to end, but it's not. It's still going to continue. It's Riddle versus Rollins with the return of Elias. Return of Elias as well. Great segment. But it then stems to the US title match where you think confidence-wise, Riddle, genuine challenger for Rollins, as we already know. Is he going to take the title off Rollins to get even further humiliation? Because obviously he references Extreme Rules in his promo, which is brilliant. Obviously Mustafa Ali appears. It's another good challenger. You potentially got a fatal four-way. If they've got brains, I'd rather do a fatal four-way for the US title than Rollins versus Ali in Riyadh. I think Ali's good, but I do not think he's good enough or deserves a singles title. I would go fatal four-way because Elias has already been involved in a great manner. That ripcord knee as well from Riddle onto Rollins, bouncing Elias, constantly feeding the drama is great. And will Elias get involved? Will he actually cost Riddle the victory? Because Rollins has super kicked him in the face. He doesn't. Rollins gets the win. Great match. and
Gets the
Elias
win in a
gets
really
and
sort
gets
of
stomped.
accidental way as well. So Elias is involved in the finish, but accidentally, sort of, a shove and into the way, and just sort of.
And then he eats a stomp for his measure.
Yeah. I mean, of course, he gets the stop, but I think classic Seth Rollins getting his heat back. You tapped out, Seth Rollins, so you need
I
to
love
get your
that
heat
reply.
back.
I love that. I love that reply to the "you tapped out" when he's saying only the genuine ones are behind me. The rest of you can just kiss my ass. I love that. Like he knows who he knows. Like the ones when they sing his song, they're the ones that are behind him. When they're saying "you tapped out," it's immediately back on with the song. Like you just know, like he is running it. And I said it last week, and I'm say it again, and I hope that they don't get this wrong. Is this man went well over 900 days without a championship. He deserves 6 months with this mid-card title. At least 6 months. Because he can elevate challenger after challenger after challenger and then lose it.
I think they could get this to WrestleMania easily. Whether they decided to take it off him at WrestleMania, depending on, as I say, if they've built Rollins and Styles and it's good, WrestleMania is the natural sort of, yay, babyfaces win. So that would be sort of acceptable. But for now, I think
I'd love to see him retain. I'd love to, as much as I'd like that, I would love to see them go the distance with that sort of feud. I would like it for Rollins to win at WrestleMania, lose at SummerSlam, because that's always been his pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like that's always been his pay-per-view.
Dethrone Seth Rollins would be Johnny Gargano.
Yeah,
I think
so would I.
Wait a year for that match. Of course, Johnny Gargano's up to something in terms of what's happening on Raw. So real quick, what's going on with the Miz and Lumis? Obviously, Miz attacks Lumis because the match they were going to have is if Lumis beats Miz, Lumis gets a contract. The whole thing is that that Lumis isn't actually signed yet. But if Miz beats Lumis, Lumis just has to leave. And of course, we've been seeing Riddle got my blessing for the ripcord. Yeah, fair enough, I will.
Love it.
Yeah, love a good callback. But yeah, Lumis didn't have the match. Still not signed, but he's not gone forever either. And then Johnny Gargano threatens to be the whistleblower. So there's some kind of secret going on. Is all this a callback to Johnny Gargano basically being Lumis's father-in-law?
Yeah.
This is all. I don't think that's the secret because it says that the Miz has the secret.
I think there's something very interesting coming in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I think it's something related in circumstance, and I'm looking forward to the big reveal. I also think Ciampa's loyalty is going to be tested very soon as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
I like
that's
that
when it
Gargano's
explodes.
sort of there, and Ciampa's obviously been involved with the Miz, continues to be. So he's not always seen with the Miz. It's weird. He's sort of sometimes there and sometimes not, but maybe that's what they're feeding into. Gargano sort of going, not this guy. Like, don't go around with the Miz. So maybe off screen, we're meant to believe that Gargano is sort of trying to get in Ciampa's head about just leave that guy. You don't need him. But then again, would Gargano do that? Because of course we know how DIY ended, and it was heartbreaking. And if you think about the matches as a set of three, great. Like, unbelievable. And if you think about the fourth one in the pandemic, not quite as good, but still amazing. But yeah, so that's where we leave Raw, and we'll cross over to the blue side. So if you're still there, Liam, this is where we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Mr. Logan Paul. This was, of course, what ended the show, but I don't think it's the biggest talking point from the show.
Not for me, no.
So Logan Paul comes down. Right, poll to the chat here. Poll to the comments. If you're watching on the delay, poll to the chat right now, and just get your answers in when you can. Is anyone surprised that Logan Paul is the hero of Roman Reigns?
Say that part again. That question.
So is anyone surprised that Logan Paul is heel against Roman Reigns? I see what you're doing here. You're gonna play with a new toy here, aren't you?
I'm putting it right in the chat. I'm putting it right in. Get your answers in, because I know for a fact I am not surprised. I'm not surprised because of how things have been in recent weeks. Roman's taken his time in and out of appearing on the show, whereas Logan is in his promos, he's building himself up, trying to be a genuine challenger. Okay, no problem. But he's going about it in a heelish manner. And that's where it's horribly wrong. Roman Reigns is the certified heel. Everybody knows this. Like, he's a certified heel. He gets the odd cheer and all that, and everyone will stand up and put their flaming finger up and like wish their finger and like him. But when you do think about it, it's that circumstance now where it's getting to the point where how much longer can you generally put Roman Reigns as the heel when his challengers are acting like heels? You can't have heel versus heel. It does not work.
Well, Does it also maybe come from the fact that Roman Reigns, to my knowledge, has never truly been booed in Saudi Arabia?
Who, Roman?
When I think about it, he's fought Brock, he's fought Shane,
yeah,
and he's fought Braun in Saudi?
I think he did. Either way, no, he's fought Brock 3 times and Shane once. He's never been.
Brock at least twice, and he definitely lost to Shane McMahon.
Yeah, he's never been booed in Saudi. No, he hasn't. So no, he's always went over.
Is it possible that they're trying to basically mirror that, and they were like, what sort of heel? I still don't like Roman Reigns. I don't care how much people love him. Roman Reigns sucks. It's fair.
If only Billy was here, just so we can see this, because there was a funny little tweet on Twitter yesterday saying, push one, fire one, sack one. Push one, return one, fire one, right? And I chose the push ones were the likes of Ricochet, Kevin Owens. The fire was Lesnar, Reigns, Edge, and return one was Cena, Rock, Taker. Now I went in my head. I went for head and heart this time. I went for Owens push, Rock return, fire Lesnar. Just because, like, at the point where we already know Edge is going to retire, there's no point firing a guy who's going to retire soon. Reigns right now is their big draw. Even though I hate the guy, he is their big draw. Lesnar, you just don't know what's coming with him. So it's smarter. Abu came in straight away, fire Reigns. Like, on my tweet, respect, crowd punching, fire Reigns.
But, like, I understand it because you have certain people that you hate. I would instantly say fire Lesnar because you instantly have those people that just get the wrong side of you, you know? Sometimes it's not even, like, what they're doing now. It's what they've done before. Other times, like in the case of Mr. Orange Cassidy, it's how they've always been. He had to be mentioned every week. He just ends up popping up in conversation. But yeah, I understand that. I understand people are just like, I just don't like him. I just don't like this guy because I've felt that way about Brock Lesnar for ages. But yeah, it's weird because Logan Paul, I don't know, because obviously it was Vince that would have got Logan Paul involved. Now, whoever told Vince, Logan Paul would be huge and showed him the numbers, Vince was in charge at the time they got Logan Paul involved.
He was.
So did WWE know that Logan Paul was going to be heel? Because they were grooming him as a face. They were. When Miz turned on him, we were meant to cheer. When AJ Styles gave him props, it was meant to sort of get him over. And everything like that. Did he may have had a match with AJ, now that I think about it.
I think he worked with him, but I don't know yet. Yeah.
But AJ was like, look, I respect you and everything like that. So they were grooming him as a face. They were going, yeah, Logan Paul, big baby face, big social media star, forgetting that everyone knows what Logan Paul's really like. So then when more Logan Paul outside of WWE comes up, of course he's going to be booed. It doesn't matter. You can put him up against Hulk Hogan in Louisiana, in New
Hulk
Orleans,
Hogan.
and Hulk Hogan's still going to get cheered over Logan Paul because people
Oh yeah,
know what Logan
100%.
Paul like. Okay, to be fair, maybe in that example, no one gets cheered, but you know.
Well,
yeah, I
know who
understand
Booker
where
T
they're
would be
going.
cheering for. Logan Paul would be getting cheered for by Booker T, that's for sure, if it was up against Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, and the other thing that comes to mind is the John Cena versus Roman Reigns feud, but it's the exact same.
Yes, it is.
Only Logan Paul's heel. Because if you remember that John Cena feud, that excellent promo, because few can touch John Cena in the world of a promo. You know, when John Cena's like, I only need that one lucky shot, 1, 2, 3. That's all I need. And it's that same sort of thing when Logan Paul's like, one lucky shot, I'll send your whole world tumbling. But it's more heelish, it's more slimy. We're not meant to want Logan Paul to do it. My question for you, Reece, is there even a slight chance that Triple H has had enough of Roman Reigns? Because I don't think so. But do you think there's even a slight chance that we get the upset of wrestling history in Crown Jewel?
First of all, Abu, completely spot on. Mr. Fuji would be. So would be Bobby the Brain Heyman. So would Mean Gene Okerlund. Maybe Gorilla Monsoon, although he'll be too busy chanting other crap because that's literally what he did. No, it won't happen. Purely because, and it's accurate, he's only had 2 professional matches. If, for goodness sake, if he wins the title on his 3rd match, you have done the one thing that has never happened before. You delegitimize the World Championship.
Are you sure that's never happened before?
Proper delegitimize
Jinder Mahal.
No, that's not illegitimizing the championship. That's just scarring it until Styles got his title back. Fortunately, Styles got it back.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like Logan Paul will keep the belt forever.
But it doesn't matter. At least,
you would have
even
to
though
say
Mahal was bad,
Logan Paul defeated Roman Reigns. It would have to be like on the archives. It would have to go in the books.
Yeah, I hate Jinder Mahal. I hate his work. I hate his promos. I think he's clunky in the ring. I personally think I would be a better world champion because at least I know how to wrestle. But at least Jinder Mahal.
No evidence of this.
Well, I used to.
Next week, tune into Reece putting some tapes on the screen for us all of his illustrious wrestling career. But on the flip side, if this one way for them to flip Reigns to be a babyface and chase for the title from Logan Paul, I think it would be awful. If the Bloodline's like, we need to rescue WWE from YouTube.
Sacrilege, yeah. It's not that. It's purely like I think Jinder Mahal's is clunkier than Gilbert, and that's saying something because I can't stand Gilbert. But
I don't
in
know.
General sense,
Wayne Gill get enough of a chance to be clunky. That's the thing. Because
yeah, he was given a chance.
But Jinder Mahal was asked to do like 15, 20-minute title matches, so you saw through him. I've not seen much of Wayne Gill being asked to do more than 2-3 minutes.
At least we survived. But Jinder Mahal at least had a professional experience behind him. He's been in the company for years, love him or hate him, and I know which side I'm on. At least he's got genuine experience behind him where you're going to at least stick out. And yes, if he gets a championship, it's for the service. It's like Mark Henry, not a great worker, but it felt like it's rewarded for service. But Logan Paul has only wrestled 2 matches. If he wins it on his third, it's completely pointless. It's a disgrace.
I'm also thinking about everyone that puts under, because everyone that has been beaten by this Roman Reigns bloodline stuff.
Exactly.
Imagine it gets all undone by a social media star.
Yeah, I've beaten McIntyre in the UK. I've beaten
It'd be like if you
I've
remember,
beaten Lesnar.
Drew Carey in the Royal Rumble. It'd be like if he went on to win it.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just
Exactly.
not happening.
Yeah, failing to beat Rollins at the Royal Rumble, it's a DQ. Or having the referee stop the count in the last man standing against Kevin Owens, which the referee deliberately stopped counting. Or somehow God beats the demon, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some soap opera finishes. Basically, in short, we think Logan Paul's a great promo, is what Ronda Rousey wants. She's a great booker, ain't she? Yeah, Ronda Rousey. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, of course, she's done the right thing. She's tried to turn heel. I can't wait for that to not work when her open challenge next week is answered by Charlotte Flair. But, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
all signs point to Charlotte, not North Carolina, but Charlotte Flair from the Queen City. Because, yeah, I mean, Ronda Rousey basically laid the gauntlet down. Look, next week I'm having an open challenge. It's going to be Charlotte Flair, most likely. Unless they're just
We would
hanging
hope
us
so.
on. It could be Sasha Banks. It could be Naomi.
It could be.
They played a video on Extreme Rules of Charlotte Flair.
Yeah. It could also be that weirdo Liv Morgan.
But again, I mean, especially what Liv Morgan did this week to show that she's
Extremely boring.
crazy and not quite sure what's going on
I'm
Liv.
just sick. I'm just sick of her. Like they're now
You've
just
been
doing
sick
her.
of her for ages, Reece. You're a bit of a
Now
downer on old Liv Morgan.
she's now turning into Alexa Bliss 2.0 when Alexa Bliss was the Harley Quinn character. She's now adding the Joker like lipstick and all that and like around the eyes. She's just trying to be Alexa Bliss 2.0, and that's insulting. It's just insulting to me. But we are going to move on because obviously we had some other good moments on SmackDown. Going to go about another 20 minutes, folks, and then we'll be wrapping it up unless Eilidh's got something else she'd like to announce on the show, unless she's got any other ideas for herself, which is firing her way. On the
Don't
spot.
think so. I mean, we've got the last. I mean, I wonder if we've got the same one lined up. So, what were you going to say about SmackDown there?
I was purely going to discuss the situation with the Intercontinental title.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what
This
going to
is
bring up.
going to a different place. Okay, we'll start with
Yeah,
that, and then we'll go.
Yeah, I was purely thinking about the Intercontinental title because I'm liking the situation that it's actually becoming more prominent again. It's being used a lot more. They're actually building more stories for Gunther and whoever's going to take the title off him. They don't need to have one consistent challenger with Sheamus. They're now adding Rey Mysterio to the fold. They're making him run the gauntlet in a way. He's up against Ludwig Kaiser this week. Good win. Obviously, Gunther, etc. They get thrown backstage. They get ejected from ringside. You would expect next week he's going to do the second part, and then the following week he's going to win this week. Obviously, won this week. He's going to win next week. He's going to lose the title match. He is not beating Gunther, but it's going to be a really good match. But it's good to see that credible side to it that they're trying to build Gunther to have different opponents rather than just a heavy hitter in Sheamus.
Yeah. I mean, of course, he won the belt off Ricochet, but since then, I mean, the Sheamus feud was brilliant, and that's great, and I'm glad that we're done there now. And Sheamus is sort of going into something else. I mean, it seems like he's sort of embroiled in bloodline territory now, considering he was hospitalised on this week's SmackDown. Ravi's asking, do you think matches are a bit too long? Well, I think the Liv one was.
That was crap.
I think the Liv Morgan Sonya Deville match was long. But I don't think all of them are at all. I think on AEW they all are, but that's because that's what they go for. I think AEW would benefit a lot more from just sometimes a 7-8 minute match. But no, every match, you got to have 15, 20 minutes, regardless of going, because, I don't know, we need to do that. I mean, you don't. You could easily just not, and you could put more matches on the show rather than having 3 or 4 matches a show and each of them going 15, 20 minutes. You could have 6 matches
Exactly.
on a show, and you could have 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 4 minutes, and still have good matches. We recently reviewed Survivor Series 2002, where there was that excellent cruiserweight title match between Jamie Noble and Billy Kidman. And that match is about 8 minutes, 9 minutes
We
long.
did.
So it's not that they can't do it. It's not that we can't have these shorter matches and they can still be dramatic. It's
Yeah,
that people just don't seem to want to book them because the wrestlers want to be more standout, especially on the AEW side of things.
I agree.
I think WWE's a bit better for it still. I think on Raw and SmackDown, they're well aware, don't give away the match yet.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of obviously Gunther and Sheamus on SmackDown, that was more of like, this is the last part of this.
Yeah.
So it had to be a bit longer. Generally, I get your point, Ravi. It's basically what I'm saying. Let Gunther keep it a little longer until someone genuinely comes along and dethrone him. I want to see Pete Dunne do it as well, I will. Absolutely.
I think it'd be
And
a good shout. I want
and
him to get rid
Ronda,
of that.
awful
Want him to
champ,
bid
never
titles.
defends her title.
She's
Yeah, I mean,
almost won it back
she
though.
only won at Extreme Rules, so we'll give her a bit of time.
Yeah, she's defending it next week, but she's also doing it as a heel now. She turned heel.
Yeah, and we'll see how long that
Again.
lasts, as I say, because if it turns out to be Charlotte Flair, she's quickly not going to be heel. Or we're going to have that classic thing of what you say doesn't work, heel versus heel. In short, yeah, I like the IC title. I think maybe on SmackDown they're missing just one more feud, and that's why we had
Yeah.
to have the Liv and Sonya stuff go over a bit. I feel like maybe
Yeah.
Ricochet could be involved in more, but I also think when you're using 5 people up in one faction, you do kind of have that shortage of feuds sometimes, and you're sometimes just that one issue shy. It's the sort of place SmackDown right now where they could benefit from having like a cruiserweight title or something along those lines to feud over. But I would rather they didn't do that. I would rather they just came up with a blood feud for 2 people and then just have that. Riddle and Rollins over on Raw wasn't for it. Obviously, Drew and Cross is going on. They need one more like that.
Yeah.
One
I
more that's
completely
just,
agree.
I'm better than you, no, I'm better than you. I think maybe a Ricochet or those two going against each other would be weird. Maybe turn Ricochet heel potentially. I don't know, but I think they need something. Do you rate
I agree.
Solo? You could take this one, Reece. Do you rate Solo, his wrestling, and what he's doing? Yeah, how do you feel about old Solo Sikoa?
I rate Solo. I think he's doing really well, and I like his angle with Sami Zayn at the moment as well. I like the angle. It's working. Their dynamic suits him. He doesn't need anyone to get him over. He's already over. He doesn't need anyone to big him up. But he's certainly getting something from it. There's a lot going for them in the way that he can take on anyone as that enforcer role that he is, and you genuinely believe he's going to deliver. And his movement in the ring is superb. I don't think he's yet to miss a beat that I've seen. This guy is definitely what Umaga was supposed to be. God rest his soul. But this is what Umaga was supposed to be. They just did one stupid thing with him. They gave him that Samoan spike. They should have let him use that Uranage. That Uranage would have been the perfect finisher for Umaga, but they decided, no, we're just going to throat jab you because that's the way to go. Idiots. He would have been WWE champion with that Uranage. Solo Sikoa, the way he's been built, either he is going to win a title very shortly, or he is going to ensure every title comes back, including Sami Zayn taking potentially the IC title as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Sami Zayn gets a title because of Solo.
Sami Zayn defeating Gunther, though. I mean, obviously, we've seen Sami Zayn win belts off the help of others before. Is it wise to have... You know what I say? Is it wise to have Gunther bested by Sami Zayn? Or does that absorb him into all this bloodline stuff, which is good, but you do, as I say, almost hinge on involving too many people?
I think there's one good thing to come out of this.
Mm-hmm.
If Sami Zayn was to win a championship, Jey Uso, now you get the involvement where he can put it to Roman that you put this man in charge of me, but he's now getting greedy and now he's going for championships. He's not a true member of the family. He's just an honorary member. He isn't a legitimate blood relative. He's just in the crowd because he's worked really hard and he's got your attention. He can feed that to Reigns. He can feed that to Heyman. In a way, like little snippet comments, like what is exactly is his role supposed to be? You put him in charge, but now I get in trouble for not listening. But now he's on his own decision is now going for a title, when all the championships should be myself, Jimmy, Solo, and you. You've got the perfect angle there where he finally gets kicked out.
Official member of the bloodline. This
get rid of him once and for all.
They'd be walking a line, but a way to say he's not a real part of this family. He's not pure-blooded Samoan like we are. That would be the sort of thing. Whether they could get away with that sort of thing, I don't know. But I'd love to see them try. And of course, they have left PG. And I don't think that comes across as like sort of racial stereotyping or anything. I genuinely think a point along those lines of Jay going, he's not got the blood like we do. And then maybe Solo could dethrone Sami if that's the way they wanted to go. Yeah, I actually like that.
Through Uso involvement.
That wasn't what I was going to touch upon. I thought it was the biggest talking point of SmackDown to be about Mr. Bray Wyatt.
I was going to leave that one to you.
Yeah, so firstly, this entrance song, hurry up and release a version that doesn't have crowd noise behind it, because it's so infectiously catchy.
I like it.
Shatter by Code Orange. Just hurry up and release one. Like, either the band or WWE, just release the music so I can hear it without crowd noise. Because it sounds really good, but I don't know yet, because it's got crowd there. Basically, if you missed this, Bray Wyatt, quite early in the show, actually. I think it was just after Sheamus being hospitalised. I like that about. I like the idea of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn doing it.
Gets kicked out, and Kevin Owens comes back for him.
Yeah, and of course, from that, you could then have them firing shots across the wrestling landscape at Honor No More. Well, no, I suppose that's Matt Taven, but the Ring of Dishonor, almost Chris Jericho, as he's currently the Ring of Honor World Champion. So I think maybe that then plants the seed for the Chris Jericho return, which, as I'm hearing today, WWE expect. Whether they expect it soon or not, obviously Jericho's just signed a 3-year deal. Anyway, back to Bray Wyatt. He starts, so it's right after Sheamus is hospitalised, I believe. Bray Wyatt's backstage, and his theme song's just playing. He's backstage, he's not coming out, but it's just playing.
Yeah.
And he says things like, I didn't get to finish what I was telling you last week. And he said, my anger makes me do things. I was perfectly happy to walk away, but you wouldn't let me. The spikes from out of my body and said, pulled the spears from my body, propped me back up and let me back in. And it was that sort of idea. And the last line of this is fantastic. So he goes, I'm going to do horrible, horrible things to people, and I'm not going to feel any regret over it. Because I go where the circle takes me. It ends like that. So Bray Wyatt serves the circle. He's either part of something, or he's being brainwashed or led by a higher power or something. And maybe the circle refers to, of course, Uncle Howdy and the things that we've seen and we continued to see throughout the show. But Bray Wyatt is such a creative mastermind, and I just want to see where this.
Me too. I'm loving the work of this. It's absolutely brilliant. And I think the circle is purely Wyatt's delusions in his head. Like the multiple personalities.
I'd like it to be this is Wyatt, just as Wyatt, and this is sort of him leading himself by his own. You've almost got like a Macbeth type thing going on. You know, he has nothing but ambition.
Agreed.
That's what I want the circle to be, sort of this corrupt ambition he has.
Yeah.
Because then it makes perfect sense for him to go for titles. It makes perfect sense for him sometimes to be attacking people we don't like, and sometimes to be. I know Uncle Howdy, I asked him about Bray and he said no comment. Very well done.
Nicely that's played, that Bill.
Circle to be. I wasn't too keen on having another stable. You know, you've got Judgment Day doing pretty well. You've got Bloodline running things. So I don't want Bray to have his own stable necessarily. I'd rather Bray was just Bray. It's not like if he does have a stable, I'm instantly going to hate it. Because, I mean, Bray Wyatt's just untouchable at the moment in terms of character work. The return has gone, I imagine, in his head, a complete success. It's been as good as he thought it would be, if not better.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I just hope this is going the right way, where Bray Wyatt can do something that he's actually happy with. Obviously, Rob Fee's involved now. He's worked for Disney, so he knows in terms of story writing better than most.
And cinematic use as well.
Yeah, I just hope that it gels, and this can really be that second coming of Bray Wyatt. Really the second coming of a Bray Wyatt we want to see. Of course, we had spooky cult leader Bray the first time, Eater of Worlds, that sort of idea. We loved that. The Fiend, a bit colder on it. So let's hope that this time, with the circle,
mentally broken,
everything, let's just, if this is like a split personality sort of thing, let's just see where it goes. But I'm really happy with
Me too.
How Bray Wyatt's doing. And I hope he's happy as well, because of course, it clearly hurt him to be released. We spoke about that when we spoke about his return and his promo as well. You can check that out on last week's show.
We did.
But yeah, just really happy. And to be fair, I think both SmackDown and Raw were pretty strong this week.
I think so.
I think everything's going the right way. And of course, we will preview Crown Jewel. I mean, geez, when is it again? The 5th of November, is it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we may have to rethink the time of our Saturday show in 2 weeks. Because, of course, the way the Saudi shows work, it'll be on about 5 o'clock.
We can go. We can slightly go. We can go slightly earlier. I'm sure. I know we can do it.
Yeah, just see when United are on if there's a conflict of interest there. But no,
I'll still be watching Crown Jewel.
I'm happy to go early. We could be the real pre-show.
I'll still be watching Crown Jewel. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely right. But
if we've got the it depends on how long it is. Depending on the coverage, we could end up doing a watch along.
Perhaps that may happen. That would be a lot of fun. But anyway, awesome. Reece, I'm gonna hand the baton over to you once again, and you can take us home.
Absolutely, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. 1 hour and about 1 hour and 25 minutes close. It's been a great show, obviously. Thank you for the kind comments about the logo. I really do appreciate it. That took me about an hour to do in terms of getting the right contrast color skills, like the Steelchair. I want to make everything right. It's been a great show. Thank you to my co-host. And I'm certainly looking forward to next week where we will go through it. We'll see how much further we'll do. We'll also be recapping Halloween Havoc. I might watch it live, I might not. We'll see, but it is something that we will be discussing next week. We'll add it to Raw and SmackDown. Anything that comes up with AEW. We'll get the last thing of CM Punk's contract hopefully next week as well. That should all be disclosed next week. We'll be thinking anyway, because it's going to be quite tight. But other than that, thank you all so much for watching. And if you can hit that like, share, and subscribe button, I'd really do appreciate it. And follow Sports Armchair on Twitter, it'd be most appreciated. And also, if you're not into wrestling, but you've watched our show today and you really enjoyed it, if you're into football and you're into quizzes, I am hosting one this evening. I'll be sending the link to Eilidh, because I mentioned it to Eilidh at the start of before we went live. I'm hosting a quiz 8 o'clock tonight. If anybody would like to watch, I'll drop the link on my Twitter. Come along and watch. It's going to be a brilliant football quiz 8 o'clock tonight. But other than that, on a serious note, guys, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as we say in the wrestling business, 1, 2,